I'm Kathy Chandler from Northwest Valley Connect. Northwest Valley Connect is a nonprofit that helps seniors, veterans, and people with disabilities find the transportation that they need. If you think about the grid of transportation in Phoenix, where there's bus transportation, light rail, and more, that all stops at Sun City. Past Sun City, there's Sun City and Sun City West, about 65,000 people. It's a senior community. Past that, there's Surprise with 140,000 people, no buses. So you can imagine the gap in service. It's each city doing their own thing. It was difficult to bring the people, the cities together, the elected officials, the communities together to see the need, to educate and advocate for the need. You need to know the culture of the community. You need to understand where your elected officials sit with your topic. And really work with them to understand what it is that you're trying to do. The way we met the challenge was to advocate and educate the community about the lack of transportation and the need, but also find some solutions. So we started a call center where volunteers answer the phone and direct people to resources in the area, and then a volunteer driver program where volunteers drive people using their own vehicles in most cases, and some accessible vehicles that we own in other cases where people need an accessible wheelchair vehicle. We needed to educate people in what the resources were that were there for them, but also change the culture of the area so that they were thinking more like in the future what public transportation could be for them. There's so much need that the change for us has been developing more and more programs, including all the people in the organization, including the community, and getting community leaders on our board of directors to help us do that. And really bringing teams together to look at what solutions can happen with the resources that are there and what we could develop has really become our model. And we continue to use a team approach of getting people that know what transportation looks like and what could look like, getting new leaders in transportation like Lyft and Uber involved, and just really bringing in teams to work on the solutions. Very minimal money is available through the government for that. So we had to get foundations used to the idea that the community that they're serving, the human service aspect of transportation, was very important. So for the first 3 years of the organization, it was all volunteers. Volunteers answer the phone, volunteers drive our folks, volunteers are on our board of directors and our advisory committee. It really is different when you're working with volunteers, and you really have to motivate volunteers. They are motivated by your vision and mission. It really pushes things forward. But you also have to include them in the change. It's been a great experience. I have enjoyed working with volunteers. I've enjoyed developing programs. That's always fun. The challenge doesn't scare me. I like new things. I would say really start from the very beginning with a good business plan and develop that business plan. I kind of started off on without having much in the line of resources. And I would say build up your resources before you launch. I like to tell people that I started in transportation in 1939 because my grandpa was a dairy farmer in Wisconsin. And my grandpa used to truck milk into town. So when he was trucking milk into town, the superintendent of schools stopped him and said, "Bring the kids with you, they're not coming to school." So my grandpa went and bought a school bus in 1939 and started school bus transportation in Kaukauna, Wisconsin. My first cousins run the business still. It's grown, it's all over Wisconsin. My aunts and uncles drove me to school every day. My mom and dad, my older brother drove school bus. I wasn't gonna have anything to do with transportation. Last thing I wanted to do, when my kids were old enough to go to school, I went down to the school to get a job because that's where I knew people, and they sent me to the transportation department to be a dispatcher. I started in transportation.